guess what? I have a cover. I finally found what I wanted to do with it. Now, it wasn't without a bunch of problems that haven't been fixed yet, but let me tell you what I did. I had a meeting for work that was off-site, and I was early, so there was a Walmart right by where I was going, and I thought, I'll just go in and see what they have. Well, I found these two paper packs. This one, they're by Colorbach. This one is called Mixed Media, and I'll just do a real quick flip for you of it. It's got some absolutely gorgeous papers, and I really like them. They are very thin, though. I mean, extremely thin. And they could be good for a lot of different things, but I thought that they would be great to use for covers and different things too. But this one, let's see, I think this is from, my cover is from this Mixed Media. I'm not sure, maybe not. The back is for sure. So that's that one. The other one I found is called Vintage Treasure. This is where my cover came from. And again, this one's from Colorbach. And let me show you this one. These were $5 each. So that'll tell you how thin the paper is. It feels like it's even thinner than scrapbook paper. But really cool designs and really neat things that you could do with it. So when I was doing my cover, I decided I would use one of these papers, and I was just going to apply it directly to the magazine cover, which, if you remember, I'm using a Magnolia Journal magazine. I love this one. And normally I usually use a piece of cardstock and apply it to that, but I decided I wasn't going to do it this time. So I applied it directly to the magazine, and this is my piece right here. There you go. I applied it directly to the magazine, and it seemed like it was going to be just fine. And it was fine. But what happened was, I put it down with Mod Podge, and then I used the finishing wax like I use on all of my covers, and it was just perfect. I went to my computer and went into PowerPoint and tried to match this background paper as best I could. So I typed my name and journal and the date from which this is from. So it looked kind of like it was being typed on here. And I used a Courier font. Glued those down, then Mod Podged everything, then waxed it. So there's my spine, and there's my back. So I took my paper and wrapped it around here, and then I took one of the Mixed Media papers and put it right on here, and then I just put a piece of washi tape to cover where they came together. And you don't necessarily have to do that. So it was looking great. I was thrilled with it. And then I opened my magazine journal, and I've had trouble with this particular magazine all the way through. I finally ended up doing a pamphlet stitch on it to hold it together. But when I opened it up, right here it split. Or it didn't split, it opened up away from the magazine. And I should have just let it be because it really was fine. But no, I decided that I was going to fix it, so I took some PVA glue and I squirted it down in there. And you know how it goes. If a little's good, a lot's better. So I did that, and then I set it to dry. I set it on its spine like this. Well, what happened was I put so much glue on there that it wrapped around to the front here. And when I looked at it, there was this big puddle of glue. So I tried to push it down to try and get the glue to go that way, and it ripped the paper. So let me show you. See how that ripped? And honestly, it looks okay when you just look at it. It just kind of looks aged, and I was going to leave it, but I decided that I need to put something over it just to secure it. So I've got 3 choices. So I wanted you to see this because this might happen to you. And there's really no need to panic. You can always fix it. First of all, I could put another cover over here if I wanted to, but I don't. So I'm going to go ahead and show you what my options are. I've looked through a lot of things, and I've come up with 3 things that I can use. So I made this tag. I just did a little circle here out of red to tie into that. And I can put it right here like this, and I can put some kind of a word or something on here. So that's one option. The other option I have that I've decided on is these are tags from Starbucks. One of the women at my collage group had a bunch of these. I don't know where she actually got them, but she gave them to us. So I could just put that down there as well, and I think it would look just fine. And then I have this napkin that I can also put down. Now, if you know me, you probably know the route I'm going to go, but I'm not going to tell you right now. You'll see it in the next video. And if you want to leave a comment and tell me which one either you'd put down or you think I'm going to, that would be fine. But I think I've got 3 really good options now, and I'll just pick one of them, and you'll see it on the next video. So anyway, I am really, really pleased with my cover. It took a long time for me to figure out which one I was going to use, but in the end, I'm very pleased. So let's go ahead and start with the flip. We left off here. So this is the first week of September, and I was on vacation for 3 weeks, so it was just super nice. So basically that's what I did. I noted that, vacation started. It was also the start of class 1. So I made sure that I had that noted in there. I can see you're getting some glare. So I made sure that that was noted. There we go. And excuse me. So I started filming the class, and I also filmed class 2, and I was having some major issues with YouTube trying to get class 2 uploaded, but I got that there. This was just a little something for Tisha Moore. I saw a video that was done that was about her and her husband Tracy. It was super touching, so I just made a comment about that. A postcard that I received from my pen pal. And then this is a picture of Jessie. We went to the bookstore, and I posted this picture on my Instagram. This is one aisle of 6 that we have at our bookstore at Barnes & Noble. It's amazing the amount of magazines that are available. I'm just shocked, and I feel very fortunate. So this section right here is the crafts section. Amazing. Just a little card I picked up at Taco Bell, and one of the Tim Holtz paper dolls that I put in there. And then Irma was happening at this time, so I was noting the storm surge that was talked about. We've had a lot of smoke here in Oregon from forest fires, and it was really bad, just horrible. So I was noting that here. And I ate some fish, which I'm not a big fish eater, but I noted it because I ate it. And then it was back to school, and back to school is usually new shoes, so that's why I put that there. Moving on to the next week, we had some new floors put in, and so I documented it here and just a little collage of the pictures. And then this was from class 2. This is Rosebud, and I printed her on tissue paper and just laid it down here. I was just giving it a try to see what it was like. That worked out well. And then again, more news about the hurricane and all the words that you hear all the time now associated with hurricanes, like isobars and storm surge and the eye of the hurricane. So I just noted those along here, and I did some doodles right along here to just sort of make it look like wind. Had a haircut, You guys know that when I have a haircut coming up, I always note it by using a rabbit. Football season opened, and I was super excited. The Raiders, that was the first game. I'm a Raiders fan, and they actually won their first game, which was awesome. So I had an idea about something that I've got coming up, and I noted it here, and Jesse always calls them harebrained ideas. Very lovingly, he loves when I get my ideas, but anyway, I was just making a note of that. And actually, I finally got some sleep, which I was so thrilled about, because I have terrible sleep habits, so that was another thing I noted. This was class 3, and that was Home Sweet Home, and just a lot of doodling. These are, I had a pair of red tennis shoes that were my absolute favorite. I haven't been able to find them, and I found these and I just denoted it. And I really liked this picture. It just spoke to me about Jesse and I, so I printed that in there. Just a little card that we got in the mail. This came from my pen pal, and I thought it perfect that as we're starting to go into the Halloween season, I would put it there. And just, again, some doodling, and this raccoon reminded me of one of my friends, and I had been concerned about her, and I wanted to put that in there. And just, again, more doodling and pieces of paper that I just sort of cut up to make borders. This was the end of my 3 weeks of vacation, and so I just kind of noted that there, picture of Mozzie, a collage piece, and summer is starting to leave here in the Pacific Northwest on this week. We were getting some rain and wind, and so I was noting that there. This is just a little flip, a little bit about my class, or my idea that I had coming up. Picture of Jesse. I got some new scissors, and I'm reading the book Paris Letters, which I really love, and I posted this woman on my Instagram feed. I think she is so elegant, and to me she spoke Paris, so that's why I put her in there. And just, again, more doodling, washi tape, etc. And that's it. That's it for the month. It's hard to believe it's gone by so fast, but there's 4 weeks. I thought I'd take a minute and show you my collage journal in my Traveler's Notebook. Now, I haven't been working in it at all, really, only because of the collage classes. But what I did do is put the 4 classes in this book. And for those of you who may not be following along, but might be interested in seeing what it looks like, let me show you. So, I think this was the very last thing that you saw that I did. And then here are the classes that we've been going through. So, this is the first class, which is Tenny Bird. Class 2 with Rosebud, Home Sweet Home, Class 3, and Veronica is Class 4. Now, Class 5 and 6 are yet to be posted. Class 5 will be on cutting up magazines, combining them with the collage sheets. And then Class 6 is going to be showing you how I made some of the additional projects where we took our pieces and scanned them, and then I made postcards, tags, stamps, etc. But what I wanted to show you on these is I did go ahead and put washi tape down the center, and I even put washi tape on the sides, even though we had a border, and it does cover some of it up. On this one, I didn't want to cover up my hard work, so I just put Scotch tape over that, just to protect the edge. And then again on here, this is the other side of it, washi tape down the center, and then washi tape here. And what I tried to do is pick colors that would coordinate with the overall so that they would sort of blend into the background as opposed to standing out. I still have to do some pen work on all of these, but I did want to get them in my journal and preserve them. So there you go. got a couple of tricks for you today. The first one has to do with stamping. So I'm going to use this stamp and this archival ink pad. And one of the things that I always do with my archival ink pads, because I always get the big one because I use black so much, is I date it. So I know when I got it and when it's about time to swap it out. And this one actually is ready to go. But these usually last me about a year. So one of the things you want to do when you stamp is you want to have something to stamp on. And like a mouse pad is good. You want something that has a little bit of give. And then when you go to stamp, you just, of course, want to make sure that you've got your stamp inked up well. I do it two ways. I press down and I kind of drag it across to make sure I've got good coverage. And then when I think I have enough, you take a look at it, and then I blow on it. So I give it a little bit of moisture, and then I go back to the stamp pad for just a couple more swipes, and then I stamp. And what it does is that moisture kind of activates the ink. It just gives you a really nice image. So plus this really helps too, having that little bit of give, which is kind of counterintuitive. You think you'd want something really hard to stamp on. But if you're stamping in your journal or something like that, go ahead and slip a mouse pad, piece of fun foam, something like that underneath your page, and it'll work out great. Okay, the next thing I want to show you has to do with Mod Podge and applying, like I did, the piece of paper, thin piece of paper, to the magazine cover. So I like to use these little cups, and my Mod Podge is getting kind of old. It's very thick, and you may have that happen to you. But even if it's not super thick, I just pour a bit of it out into this cup, and you can see that that's fairly thick. And then what I do is I always thin it. So I just give it a couple sprays or take it to the sink and go ahead and stir it up. And you want it about the consistency a little bit thicker than glue. So it is runny and it makes it a little easier to apply. And I think that's just about right. You know, I always work on a sheet of wax paper or parchment paper. And we'll go ahead and glue this image down. This is just 65-pound cardstock. And I'm just going to use this as an example for you. And then I like to use the Tim Holtz Distress collage brush. It comes in several sizes. I have the short one. I've had really good luck with it. I like it a lot. Now, if this were my magazine cover, I would put the glue on the magazine cover or the cardstock, depending, either way, and then put my thin piece of paper down on that. So that's what I'm going to do in this case. I'm not sure if I have enough glue, but we'll go ahead and give it a shot. And I could probably I can tell, see how this is just not really flowing? So I'm going to give it a little more water because you really want it to be able to flow pretty nicely. That's a little better, but I just don't be afraid to add a little water to your glue or Mod Podge. Just make sure you get all of your edges well, because that's really the important part, is to get those edges. Again, I think I probably could have thinned this just a little bit more, because it's still, you can kind of see how it's sticking. And then what I do, it's easier for me if I'm going to line up my pages here, is I start at one end and I just lay it down, and then I sort of roll this down and across like that. And again, I do two things. I use a credit card or some kind of a card and pull from the center outwards so it gets any excess glue you might have to the edges, like that. And then I take my burnishing cloth and I make sure that it's burnished down well, particularly paying attention to the edges. And I would let this dry under some books or something heavy. And then when it's dry, I would come back over it if I wanted to apply another layer over this page like I do on my magazine journals. I would go ahead and do that, but I'd wait till it's dry. And again, do the same thing and make sure that you thin it down enough so it's fairly fluid. You don't need to put a real heavy coat on it, just a thin, even coat. And just pull it down in straight motions like that and let it dry. And you are good to go. You will have a great cover that if you want to wax it, you can. And it'll work out great. So that's the tips and tricks for today. Thank you so much for watching. If you have any questions, please leave them down in the description box below. And I will be posting Class 5, which is ripping up the mags. We're going to rip up our magazines and incorporate them with collage journals. That will be the next video that goes up. And I'm working on something else that I think will be really fun for you guys too. But for now, go have fun in your journals. I'll see you on the next video. Bye for now.